Exposed. My haunted journey into a sinister world of a cursed sorcerer's hidden apprentice secrets. Claire's heart raced as a chill swept through the room, like an icy finger tracing down her spine. The night felt alive, thick with an energy that didn't belong. She knew she wasn't alone, yet echoes of laughter from Ella and Max in the backyard only underscored the deepening dread. Shadows danced, twisting shapes beyond the flickering porch light. Eyes watched from the dark, and faint whispers slipped through the cracks in her fragile reality. "Is that?" she murmured, gripping the edge of the kitchen counter. The children had gone quiet, their playful banter fading into uneasy silence. She could almost hear the soft rustle of ancient trees swaying, warning her. Something was wrong, no, something was very wrong. The town had turned sour. Once a neighborhood of warmth, it now felt like a ghost town, powdery dust coating abandoned cars and broken sidewalks. Claire had heard the whispers from her neighbors, tales of foreboding structures, and eyes watching from empty windows. But Mr. Hargrove, with his colored tales of haunted sorcery, had captivated her. There's a curse, he had spoken in low tones, his voice slicing through the cafe's din while she served coffee and fries. A sorcerer's apprentice, lost to shadows. His secrets are buried, or they might just come back. She chuckled lightly at the comment then, but tonight? Tonight, the air felt thick, smothered with dread and the remnants of forgotten fears. Sweat clamored at her brow as a shadow loomed in the window. Too long, too unnatural. "Ella, Max," she called, forcing her voice to stay steady. But deep inside, panic bubbled. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As Claire forced herself to walk toward the backyard, her pulse quickened. The moment she stepped outside, the darkness swallowed her whole. The dim light barely illuminated their swings. She felt it, that electric sensation crackling in the air, urging her to run, but she had to check. Max stared wide-eyed at something across the yard. "Mommy, look." The shadows, they moved by themselves. He tugged at her hand, dragging her closer to the strange sight. Ella clung to her, trembling. "I don't like it, Mom." She wanted to brush them off, to say it was just a figment of imagination fueled by legend. But she couldn't shake the unease clawing at her thoughts. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from a corner of the porch, and Claire jumped. They were not alone. Something was stirring, something lurking just beyond the veil of their home. Heart hammering, she pulled her children close, and for the first time, the enormity of Mr. Hargrove's words settled over her like impending doom. The whispers surged again, louder now, words distorted with anger. "You've drawn near the truth, the curse will awaken." It echoed inside her mind, worming its way into her soul. Just then, movement caught her eye. A dark shape darted across the living room, flickering like a dying light. Claire's breath hitched. A decision loomed like a specter in their quiet home, one that could seal their fate. "What do we do?" Ella whispered, her voice quaking with fear. But Claire felt an undeniable urgency building within her to confront the truth that had waited too long to unravel. The flickering light flickered once more, shadows gathering in the corners like specters coming to life. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words dared escape. Instead, she felt the weight of the world pressing down. Then, the doorbell rang. Each chime resonated like a funeral toll, sending icy tendrils of fear throughout her body. Who was it? What waited on the other side? Claire's heart raced, each pulse an echo of uncertainty and dread. She took a deep breath, realization dawning. She couldn't run from the nightmares lurking just outside. Would she let them in, or confront the darkness she'd been too afraid to face? Claire's breath caught in her throat as silence enveloped her, static in the air thick with uncertainty. The doorbell rang again, its sound splitting the night, cracking through her fragile resolve. "Mommy, I'm scared," Ella whispered, wrapping her arms tighter around Claire's waist. Max's grip on her hand tightened, his small fingers trembling. Claire battled the flock of thoughts urging her to retreat, to pull back from the brink. Yet the calls of the children pushed her forward, forcing her feet into motion. "Stay here just 1 second, okay?" she instructed, trying to muster confidence. Though her voice was barely above a whisper, she moved to the door. The wood felt cold and rough beneath her fingertips. With each cautious step, she was aware of the creeping shadows beyond her home, twisting as if they had a mind of their own, beckoning her to turn back. The doorbell rang again. It was different this time, a frantic persistence that sent chills dancing down her spine. Claire hesitated, then placed her hand on the doorknob, steeling herself for whatever lay beyond. "Who is it?" she called, her voice trembling. No response came, just that thick, suffocating silence. With a deep breath, she turned the knob. The door creaked open, revealing the dark porch illuminated only by the ghostly light from the shattered moon overhead. There was no one there. Just emptiness stretched before her, where the chill of fear settled in. "Mommy?" Ella's voice quivered, pushing Claire to look back. She quickly scanned the yard, panic gripping her heart as the darkness felt deeper, almost tangible. Just then, a sudden rush of wind swept through the space, battering against her like angry hands. And then a voice, soft but chilling, floated toward her. "Help me!" It drifted through the air, wrapping around Claire, penetrating her very essence. The spellbinding tone felt familiar, yet macabre, as if it belonged to one lost in time. "Max, Ella, back to the house now," Claire shouted, her pulse racing as the demand to protect her children surged within her. She could feel the pull, the cursed invitation, tempting her to listen to the voice whispering just outside the door. Clenching her teeth, she forced herself to turn and shepherd her children back into the house. Max stumbled, eyes wide with fright, and Ella whispered, "Mom, I don't want to go. What if they're in trouble?" Claire's voice hardened as she ushered them into the safety of the living room. "We can't help." But when she looked back outside, the door swung wide open, as if beckoning. The whisper intensified. "Find me before it's too late." In a fevered heartbeat, shadows flickered again, this time behind the living room window. Dark fingers clutched at the glass, their forms blurring, twisting, growing more distinct. The whispers echoed, mingling with muffled laughter that clawed at her mind, awakening memories hidden deep inside. She turned to her children, whose faces were mirrors of terror. "Stay together," she urged, heart pounding. "Do not let go of my hand." But the shadows outside piled up like a storm gathering, slithering through the cracks of her sanity. Breathing heavily, Claire realized the truth. Whatever lingered beyond was not merely a figment of her imagination. The echoes of the Sorcerer's Apprentice were alive, and they were hunting. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the back of the house, shaking the very foundation beneath her feet. Ella screamed, and Max's eyes widened as he pointed at the window. "Mom, what is that?" Claire turned as a figure began to coalesce from the darkness, features shifting, both there and not there, the outline sharp, yet muddied. Hope, horror, and an insatiable curiosity battled within her. Mommy, please. The last remnants of her resolve faded. She could either face whatever was coming or let the darkness claim everything she held dear. The figure stepped closer, almost tangible now, as the whispers transformed into a chorus, beckoning her to step forward. As Claire's heart raced, she knew the truth was just beyond her reach. Would it bring freedom or bind them further? She took a shaky breath. Either way, a reckoning was looming. And then, just as she resolved to meet whatever fate awaited them, the lights went out, plunging them into thick darkness. What lay in that abyss waiting for her to plunge deeper? The darkness swallowed Claire whole, a suffocating void, wrapping around her as tightly as a coiled serpent. Her heart drummed in her chest, a frantic beat barely audible over the oppressive silence. Instinct urged her to reach out, but the pull of the unseen kept her frozen. The last flickers of light had illuminated nothing but an unfathomable threat, stretching into dimensions she dared not imagine. "Max, Ella, hold my hand." Her voice broke the stillness, but only echo answered, her words returning empty with desolation. A whimper escaped Ella, the sound piercing the quiet like a child's forlorn plea. "Mommy, I'm here," Claire managed, clutching Ella's hand and forcing Max into her grip. "We need to stay together." The sensation of a cold breath swept past, brushing against Claire's neck, but when she turned to confront it, only shadows met her gaze. They were darker than night itself, swirling just at the edges of her vision, twisting around her with a malevolent hunger. The whispers grew again, like moths drawn to a flame, no longer singular but a cacophony of voices, desperate and full of longing. Help me, find me, join me. Max's fear was tangible, like electricity sparking through the air. Mom, I don't like this. He squeezed Claire's hand tighter, knuckles white. It's okay, it's okay. She fought to stay calm, gripping her children. Their faces were pale in the darkness, illuminated only by the dim light of the moon seeping through the window. Then, without warning, there was a crash and explosion of sound that shattered the thin veil of stillness. The front door banged open, swinging wildly on its hinges. Claire flinched, instinctively pulling her children back, shielding them with her body. With a hesitant glance, she shifted toward the entrance. An unseen force beckoned her, an invitation wrapped in horror. Mommy, what is it? Ella's voice quivered, and Claire could feel her daughter's little body trembling. I don't know. The answer felt like a dagger to her heart. She wanted to make everything all right, to fight against whatever terror had seized their home. But lurking beneath that veneer of protection was an icy certainty they were far from safe. Stay back, Claire shouted, the words escaping her mouth like a desperate prayer, but the silence that answered was deafening. Suddenly, the whispers sharpened. Help me, the voices crooned again, pregnant with urgency. You must complete the pact. A fierce gust of wind blasted through the doorway, sending papers flying and rattling every window. It felt alive, alive with intent, as if the very air were in collusion with the dark forces prowling just beyond her threshold. Mommy, Ella cried again, gripping Claire's leg, her big, fearful eyes waiting for a promise that Claire couldn't give. And then Claire heard it, this time clearer, more defined, one name cutting through the clamoring voices. A single name laden with dread. Lucian. The name sent a bolt of ice through Claire's veins. The legend of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. The very tale her mother recited to warn her against darkness, now echoed, twisting her stomach. The laughter that followed was guttural, a sound of joy mingled with malice, and it filled her head with vertigo. Suddenly, the walls seemed to pulse, breathing along with the shadows, a living entity watching, waiting. The power seemed to hone in on Claire, scorching her insides, coaxing her forward into the unseen. Would she dare step closer to the door? Would she risk her children's lives if it meant peeling back the layers of this sinister facade? Mommy, don't go, Max whimpered, stepping back, pulling Ella with him. She hesitated, caught between the primal urge to flee and the responsibility to uncover the truth. The heavy door swung wider, and Claire felt an undeniable force tugging her closer. What lay beyond? Would the answers bring salvation or doom? As she fought against the dark tide, a gasp echoed near her ear, a breath from the other side, as if death itself was inviting her in. In that moment, Claire understood. She had to choose: face the secrets lurking just beyond the door, or allow the darkness to engulf them. And just as the shadows reached out, swirling around her, a figure stood at the threshold waiting. Will you join me? It asked, voice drenched in longing. Time froze. The question reverberated through her. Claire's breath hitched, the abyss beckoning once again. What secrets lay behind that whisper, and could she withstand the truth? The figure at the door loomed large, a silhouette woven from the very shadows that wrapped around Claire's family. Every pore in Claire's skin prickled with fear, and her instincts screamed to run. But what good was flight when there was nowhere left to go? This darkness had seeped into everything, snuffing out all hope. Will you join me? It repeated, the voice curling around her like smoke, seductive yet terrifying. Claire wanted to reject it, but the frail thread of resolve in her heart began to fray. Mommy, please. Ella's tiny hand clasped tightly around Claire's, her little voice thick with unvoiced terror, but the moment hung heavy with possibilities. The figure seemed to exude an unholy light, drawing Claire closer, igniting a flicker of fascination within her dread. She felt the echo of an ancient secret, something buried deep within the foundations of her own history. The name Lucian burned in her mind, unearthing whispers long suppressed. Don't look at it, Max cried, his voice high-pitched, almost frantic. It's not safe. The intense panic in his eyes cooled her growing curiosity, bringing her back to reality. Stay close. Claire lifted her chin, steeling herself. She could feel the weight of her children's fear merging with her own. We want to let it take us. At that, the figure straightened, the shadows swirling with heightened fury. You cannot refuse what has been promised. You're already part of this, Claire shouted, the defiance vibrating through her. She released a breath, filling her lungs with courage, and tightened her grip on Ella and Max. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if her anger had forced them back. For a fleeting moment, silence enveloped the room, but then came the whispers. They were louder now, a fierce storm of pleading and rage. Join us, complete the pact. The key is within you. Suddenly, the walls shuddered violently. The house groaned under an unseen weight, timber creaking, and pain shot through Claire's chest, as if the very structure of their home shared in the darkness's hunger. It was then the air thickened, and a sudden chill blew through her, sending a shiver racing down her spine. We need to go, Max urged, trying to pull them away from the door, but the ground beneath her feet felt alive, shifting as she stood rooted in place, compelled by forces beyond her grasp. Mommy, please. Ella whimpered again, eyes wide, reflecting the terror of the unknown. Pain twisted Claire's heart. She was their protector, but how? Stay focused, Claire whispered. She turned her eyes back to the figure, who merely smiled, an eerie expression of joy amidst chaos. Only through sacrifice can you find the answers, it hissed, the words dripping with venomous delight. Nothing about the invitation felt genuine. It was a snare, but part of her wanted to bite. Then Clara recalled her mother's stories. The neighbors whispered of Lucian's apprentices, each trapped between realms, caught in a cycle of eternal torment. Had this figure been one of them? Will you repeat the cycle? The figure cooed, voice honeyed and sharp. Or can you break the chains that bind? Claire's heart thundered as adrenaline coursed through her. The urge to flee battled with a desperate need to confront whatever haunt lay within her family's legacy. A surge of rage ignited within her. She would not let her children suffer the sins of the past. In a flash, Claire gathered her children, pulling them back towards the shadows of their home, back towards safety, away from the gaping maw of darkness. Stay together. We run on 3, she commanded, determination flooding her voice. But just as she counted down, the sudden pressure behind them intensified. The whispers rose in fury, jagged words slicing through the air. You cannot escape. And then, the figure lunged forward, its hand extended, fingers like gnarled roots stretching through the blackness. With a gasp, Claire felt the world around her shatter as reality twisted. The walls rippled like water, and everything blurred into darkness. All at once, they were falling, plummeting into an abyss of despair and uncertainty. Did their scream pierce the veil of shadows, or did it merely dissolve into nothing? What awaited them at the bottom of this spiraling descent? Would answers await, or doom? She only knew one thing: battle lines were drawn, and now there was no turning back. The darkness laughed. The pact would soon be complete, or would it be the end? The ground materialized beneath them with a jarring thud, knocking the breath from Claire's lungs. Her heart sprinted in her chest, echoing the chaos of their fall. She scrambled to her feet, pulling Ella and Max close. Stay with me, she gasped, glancing around. The air felt thick, stifling, alive with an almost palpable tension. The surroundings flickered in and out of focus, merging into an eerie landscape of twisted trees and gnarled roots. Dim light filtered through thick mist, distorting shapes that danced just out of sight. Mommy Ella's voice trembled as she glanced around, her grip tightening on Claire's hand. It's okay, baby, Claire reassured, though every instinct screamed otherwise. The shadows loomed further away, but they felt just as threatening in this new realm. We'll figure this out. We're together. Max squinted into the fog, his small face set in concentration. What if it finds us again? He was breathing heavily, and Claire wished she could promise him something, anything, to quell the fear igniting in his eyes. Then we fight, she whispered, but her determination felt fragile, like glass on the brink of shattering. A rustle stirred in the mist, sending a shiver along Claire's spine. From the corner of her eye, she caught a flicker of movement. She turned, heart hammering, but nothing was there, only the relentless sway of the shadowy foliage. The whispers began anew, a cacophony of echoes swirling around them, beckoning with seductive promises. "Join us, complete your birthright now." Claire shouted, fists clenched. "We're not doing this." Her voice felt small in the vastness, but deep inside, a fire began to glow, igniting her defiance. "Mommy," Ella squeaked. Claire turned to see her daughter's legs trembling, eyes wide with confusion. Those innocent eyes, filled with trust, pushed Claire's resolve deeper. She had to protect them. It took a moment to realize that the darkness wasn't just a threat, it was a character. The Whispers, the figure they were agents of a sinister force, hunting her family with desperate fervor. A thought struck her. "Do we remember anything?" She whispered urgently. "Anything that could help us?" Max looked up, brow furrowing. "The stories Grandma used to tell us about Lucian," he stammered, the name slipping from his lips like a curse. He betrayed people. Trapped them, didn't he? Ella nodded slowly, tiny shoulders shaking. He wanted them to join him, just like that thing. Max's eyes widened in realization. Yes. Claire felt a spark of hope. There's a way to fight back. If we can remember his history, we can find his weakness. The whispers surged, angry wails crescendoing through the mist, as if the darkness felt the potential for defiance. Claire could feel the weight of their collective dread, amplifying her urgency. "Stay close," she shouted, fear rising again as shadows began to close in and the ground beneath started shifting. "We have to keep moving, we can't let it trap us here." The children clung to her, their small bodies fitting perfectly under her arms. They moved forward, the chill embedding into their bones as they navigated the twisted underbrush. Out of the fog, a disembodied voice echoed. "You think knowledge will save you?" It was deep and filled with ancient malice, reverberating through the very marrow of her bones. "You are bound to me. The cycle cannot be broken." Claire stumbled, cold dread pooling in her gut. "Then let us break the cycle," she shouted, courage rising in her. But as they pressed on, an unsettling realization crept in. What if Lucian's true legacy wasn't just the betrayal of others, but a way to trap them, even under the guise of fighting back? A sudden movement caught her eye. Were they being stalked? For the first time, she felt the cold fingers of panic squeeze her throat. "Mommy!" Ella gasped, pointing ahead. Claire followed her gaze. There, emerging from the fog, was a figure far more defined than the one at the door. It stood poised, cloaked in shadows, a smirk stretching across its face, a face that twisted into the haunting resemblance of someone she once loved. "Mommy, who is that?" Ella whispered, taking a step back. Claire's blood turned to ice. "No, it's not real," she shouted, heart racing. But as the figure stepped forward, the sensation of dread tipped into realization. The darkness was coming for them, luring them into a trap that had already been set. Would she and her children ever escape the seductive grasp of Lucian's twisted legacy? Would the lesson buried in their family's history prove to be their salvation or doom? The shadows danced, and the whispers swelled. As the figure beckoned them closer, Claire knew one thing: they were racing against an unseen clock, and this time, it felt like time was no longer a friend. What awaited them as they ventured deeper into this nightmare? The darkness churned with possibilities, and some secrets were better left buried. The air thickened around them, suffocating. The whispers melded into a single, chilling tone that echoed Claire's desperation. The figure stepped further out of the fog, its smirk widening, the shadowy features morphing impossibly into her late husband's face, twisted into a grotesque parody of affection. Claire, the voice leered, smooth as silk yet packed with a cold malice that dripped like poison. "You brought your children. How noble! Get away from us!" Claire screamed, yanking the children closer, her heart racing like a freight train. Her limbs quivered with adrenaline, but there was nowhere to run. The fog swallowed every potential escape route. "Do you not recognize that they belong to me?" The figure stretched out a hand, long fingers curling like the tendrils of smoke that surrounded them. "They are part of a legacy yours to embrace." "No," Claire shot back, her voice fierce despite the waves of terror crashing over her. "They belong to me. We will not be part of your twisted game." Ella clung to her waist, eyes wide and glassy. "Mommy, please," her small voice trembled. "I want to go home." The figure's eyes shone with a malevolent glint. "Home? But this is your home, now don't you want to stay? To reunite?" "Shut up," Max yelled, his fear morphing into outrage. "You're not our dad. You're a monster." He stood defiantly in front of Ella, small but fierce. The air crackled as the figure's expression shifted, irritation flickering across its face. You think you can fight me? You are so very mistaken. It began to dissolve into smoke, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. Stay together, Claire urged, eyes darting around in the dense fog, searching for a way out. They couldn't be alone. Not here. The whispers grew louder, a discordant symphony that sought to drown her thoughts. We need to find a memory, something that can protect us. The ground tremored underfoot, tree roots writhing like snakes, hungry for a taste of their movement. An unseen force began to pull at the hem of Claire's jeans, tugs interspersed with appalling whispers of betrayal. Join us, embrace the darkness now. The past is not our future. Her voice was sharp, carrying a desperation that struck at the shadows themselves. The words felt feeble, yet they birthed a flicker of light in her mind. Think, kids. What did Grandma say about Lucian? Claire urged, her thoughts racing. There has to be a way. Suddenly, Max's face brightened with recognition. The mirror. She said he could be trapped in a mirror if we find it. Maybe we can use it against him. A heartbeat later, a shimmering image appeared, reflecting not just their surroundings, but something deeper, an ancient mirror framed with haunting carvings of unspeakable acts. It hovered in the mist, pulling them closer, speaking in visions only Claire could see. Memories of love, safety, home. But the shadowy figure erupted from the darkness with a roar, nearly tangible, and lunged towards them. No, you are not leaving. You are mine. Claire knelt to pull the kids protectively under her arms. Hold on tight. With every ounce of strength, she surged forward towards the mirror. The whispers crescendoed into screams, warning her of the peril that lay before them. She pushed the children ahead, desperation rising within her. They dove toward the mirror, oblivion stretching behind them. The moment they breached the surface, it felt like infinite coldness enveloped them, then nothing. Darkness blanketed everything. The fog turned to night. Mommy, where are we? Max's voice echoed in the void. Fight, she shouted, struggling against the pull of the void. We can't be lost. Lucian is coming. Ella cried out, panic-stricken. We have to wake up. Each breath stretched like an eternity, her thoughts racing through the echoes of her memories. The love, the safety, the raw fear still burning fresh in her veins. But all at once, the mirror shattered within her mind. Figures stepped through from the depths of her past, a cacophony of faces she had long thought gone, friends, family, their cries adding to the howling wind surrounding them, all caught within the storm of darkness. In their eyes, she saw the answer. Lucian can't have us. We're united against him. Feel our strength. She bellowed, the resolve of countless loves fueling her. Suddenly, the dread whispered back, a low snarl that chilled the very depths of her spirit. Foolish girl, you think bonds can defeat me? The figure loomed, darting towards them with unnatural speed, its laughter echoing through the shadow. In that moment, Claire knew the truth. The battle wasn't just against Lucian's smirk. It was against the memories tinged with darkness that clung to her like a follower blending into the fog, threatening to consume them all. Push it away. Remember who we are, she screamed, their screams mingling into a unified force against Lucian's shadow. Would love and memory be enough to fend off the darkness, or would the past rise up to swallow them whole? The fog thickened, the figures shifted, and Claire felt the ground beneath her sway like a tremulous heartbeat. Silence enveloped them once more, heavy and suffocating what awaited them in the desolate void as they faced the darkness surrounding them. What hidden horrors would unveil as they fought back against an old tale? Time stretched like a taut wire ready to snap. Claire felt it, the pulsing weight of the void around them, merging with the shadows dancing against the edges of her consciousness. She could hear the distant echoes of laughter, the unmistakable sound of Lucian's menacing voice slithering through the dark. Do you hear them? Lucian's voice seeped through the darkness, seductive and sweet. They laugh at your plight, Claire. They know the truth. Stop it. You're wrong. She yelled back, her voice barely making it through the fog of despair enveloping them. Max squeezed her hand, his small fingers trembling with fear. Mommy, I can't see anything. We'll find a way out. Claire insisted, her heart racing. She knew it was crucial to keep her focus. Stay with me. But the darkness churned violently, a surreal landscape folding in on itself. Shadows commingled, twisting into figures of her past, faces of those she loved, each one a flickering lamp in the oppressive black. "Mommy." Ella's voice wavered as she pointed into the abyss. "Look." Claire turned, and her heart sank. A familiar figure stood amidst the shadows, the dim shape of someone she thought lost forever, her mother. But the vacant eyes stared back, devoid of warmth and burgeoning with anguish. "Help me," Claire, her mother whispered, the whisper scraping against the edges of sanity. "They want tea, let me go." "No. No, no. You're not real." Claire gasped, the words spilling out in frantic sobs. She grappled with the wrenching in her chest, feeling an ache bloom where hope once resided. The figure dissolved into mist, replaced by a new voice, dripping with venom. "You think you can fight? You think you can escape? They're all mine, Claire. Your heart, your soul, your legacy will be mine." Lucian loomed larger, the shadows thickening around him like a suffocating shroud. Claire's vision blurred, terror clawing at her mind as memories washed over her. Warm family dinners, laughter, the smell of fresh cookies. But all of it twisted, dark, and perverse, like a photograph held too close to flame. "Listen to the lies, Claire. You know they're true. You were never enough." The shadows hissed collectively, each word a dagger of doubt. Yet, amidst the rage, there was a core of resilience deep within her. Claire's breath steadied, an ember igniting within her soul. "They are not lies," she spat, the words burgeoning with defiance. "They are love. Love can't be taken, and it will not die." Max and Ella breathed in sync with her, as if sensing the shift in their mother's spirit. A sudden crackle reverberated through the air, and the void flickered. Bright threads of light emerged, weaving through the darkness like fragile veins. The figures surrounding them began to reverberate, their outlines trembling against the onslaught of burgeoning warmth. "Together," Claire shouted, her voice swelling with newfound strength. She felt them rally around her, a tapestry of ancestors and memories flooding the space with fervent energy. As if choreographed, the darkness recoiled, hissing in protest. "You think this will work?" Lucian's voice seethed, filled with malice, but the edges of his form quavered, as though he too was terrified. Yet, Claire's determination only grew. "Watch me," she howled, her arms outstretched toward the light. "We are not your puppets. We will unbind ourselves from your chains." The figures of her loved ones coalesced, their hands reaching toward the light, which shimmered brighter as if recognizing them. One by one, they stepped in front of Lucian, each presence pushing back against the encroaching darkness. But just as victory loomed on the horizon, Lucian's laughter shattered the moment like glass. "You think you hold power? You have no idea what I can unleash." In that split second, the bond faltered. The ground quaked violently, sending shock waves through their ranks. Claire struggled to maintain her footing against the rush of dark energy that roared through the air, the shadows merging once more into a face that chilled her to her bones. "Now I will show you fear, true fear," and just like that, the ground beneath them opened up, a yawning chasm inviting the shadows to feast upon their hopes. "Mommy, help!" Max screamed, as the abyss beckoned, pulling them toward a darkness deeper than before, deeper than any nightmare. Could they cling to the thread of light as the darkness threatened to consume them? Or would they slip away, just another lost echo in Lucian's wicked world? The struggle for survival raged on, even as the shadows devoured everything they had ever known. The ground trembled beneath their feet, fragments of shattered dreams and memories swirling around them. Claire's heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out the cacophony of Lucian's laughter. She couldn't let them fall, not Max, not Ella. Her arms tightened around them, a desperate shield against the chaos that threatened to swallow them whole. "Hold on to me," Claire shouted, her voice barely breaking through the roiling darkness. She felt the ripples of despair beneath her, the abyss hungry for the warmth of her family. Each tug felt like a tether fraying, shredding apart the delicate thread of hope they had managed to weave. As they were drawn closer to the edge, the very air seemed to freeze, thick and suffocating. Shadows lunged at them, whispering vile things in voices twisted like gnarled branches. "You've lost, Claire," sneered a multitude of tones. "You cannot save them." "No." Claire's eyes burned with determination. "You're wrong. We still have each other. Max's grip faltered as he stared into the infinite darkness, eyes wide with terror. Mommy, I'm scared, me too, Ella whimpered, tears spilling down her cheeks, glimmering dimly in the gloom. But Claire knew she had to be their strength. Listen to my voice. Stay with me. We're a team. Nodding with trust, they narrowed their focus on Claire, their eyes drawing strength from her resolve. The brightness from the light thread pulsated, weaving strands of warmth through the encroaching dark. It seemed to solidify around them, pushing back against the malevolent energy rallying to the abyss like a gathering storm. See, they can't take us, Claire yelled, her voice a rallying cry against the shadows that writhed in anger. Together, we are strong. The voices of her family resounded, and even in the face of terror, a defiance surged within them. But Lucian's wicked laughter dripped like poison into the air. You cling to delusions, but fear is a master that cannot be escaped. The ground cracked wide, jagged pieces jutted like teeth hungry for flesh. An icy wind howled upward, carrying the weight of despair, rustling the whispers of those forgotten, haunting promises these shadows had broken. Mommy, don't let go, Max screamed, but Claire's arms trembled as the wind clawed at her. Never, Claire vowed, planting her feet against the restless earth. With a primal scream, she thrust her hands forward. Golden light erupted, the warmth igniting like flames in the night. It cascaded outward, illuminating the faces of the damned and revealing creatures cloaked in despair, twisted limbs, hollow eyes pleading for salvation. But the shadows recoiled, snarling at the breakthrough of light, morphing, reforming, like smoke waiting to be snuffed out. Yet just when Claire thought the light could purge them, an enormous shadow surged forward, a monstrous amalgamation of nightmares. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent hunger, and from its depths, Lucian emerged, eyes ablaze, a dark crown of despair sitting atop his head. Enough, he roared as the shadows spiraled violently around him. You think love will save you? I shall feast upon your will. His voice shattered the moment, and the darkness poured over them like ink spilling from a broken bottle. It smothered the light, dragging Claire and the children closer to the abyss, each angry pull threatening to rend their bodies apart. Claire's chest tightened. Hope was slipping. She looked at Max and Ella, terror etched into their faces. We're not alone, she reminded them, her voice hoarse but resolute. We have each other. But just as she lifted her chin, heart racing and prepared to draw strength from her family, a loud crack echoed through the darkness. The chasm quivered, and she felt it deep within her bones, a tremor of something ancient and powerful. Will you make the choice? Lucian hissed, and with that, the shadows began to scream, furious and haunting, leaving Claire with a chilling ultimatum to face. What kind of choice lay in her hands? Would it save them or plunge them deeper into the darkness? With the ground beneath them quaking ominously, time tightened around the family as the chilling question sank its icy claws into their hearts. What would they sacrifice to survive? Fear wrapped itself around Claire like a vice. The shadows howled in anger, a storm of whispers engulfing her thoughts. What choice? What do I have to do? She asked, desperation creeping into her voice. But deep down, drowning beneath layers of dread, a flicker of clarity ignited a thread of power she didn't understand yet. The earth shuddered again, rumbling as Lucian's dark form loomed, twisting shadows forming a halo around him. You can save your precious children, he taunted, but at a cost. Everything. Max, Ella, Claire whispered, clenching her teeth. Whatever happens, remember our love. It's stronger than darkness. It binds us. Her hands tightened around them, feeling their small bodies quaking with terror. They were the last bastion against the encroaching night, her heart swelling with fierce resolve. Lucian's laughter echoed in the void, shrill and delighting in their horror. Yes, Claire, what are you willing to give? A piece of your soul? Your memories? Or perhaps your children? He twirled a finger through the air, gesturing to Ella and Max, shadows reaching dangerously near. Never, she barked, thrusting herself forward instinctively, defiance anchoring her feet to the ground. I'll fight you until my last breath. Then fight for them, Lucian sneered, his voice smooth like silk, yet filled with poison. But know this, his shadowy smile widened. True sacrifice demands blood. The darkness swirled, thick like fog, pressing against Claire's body, squeezing the air from her lungs. Panic soared. What if the cost is me? She thought, heart racing faster. It would be simple, wouldn't it? For them, to give everything she had. But doubt seeped in like a chill. The shadows undulated, closing in around them. Claire could feel the cold seep into her skin, naming her fears fading family dinners, laughter on summer days, snuggling on the couch with her kids. "Mommy," Max cried, his voice shrill, and Claire's heart lurched. "It's okay, honey. I'm right here." But even as she spoke, the darkness strangled her resolve. The shadows twisted, shifting forms and faces she recognized betrayed friends, long-lost family members reporting her failure through morbid grins, reminding her of past mistakes. "Your memories won't save you," Lucian crooned, eyes flashing. "They'll consume you." "No." Claire shook her head. "Illusions. I want to let you in." The light from her heart pulsed again, a gentle, heartwarming glow battling against the consuming darkness. With a sudden surge, she cried out, "If it's my soul for theirs, I will." "Mommy, don't say that." Ella sobbed, clutching Claire tightly. "We need you." Just then, the ground fissured, and a cold wind whipped up like fingernails raking against bone. The feeling was tangible, raw. Claire's determination flickered, torn in two between darkness and light, the abyss closer than ever. Tears streamed down Ella's face. "Fight for us. Don't give up." The flicker in Claire's heart shot up an inferno of love fighting the deathly chill. "We will break these chains," she roared, a primal sound that rumbled from deep within her. Lucian faltered for a heartbeat. It was a moment, a crack in his facade. But the shadows lashed out then like coiled serpents, and her growing light dimmed against the dark tide. "Choose." His voice boomed, mocking her resolve. "Sacrifice them, or allow me to devour this pitiful hope." Claire's core twisted heavy, agonizing. She had never felt so vulnerable, so exposed. What awaited her? Would surrender lead to destruction or a chance to reclaim their fate? Screams sliced through the darkness, her children all that remained of her hope. "Enough," Claire roared, piercing the roaring waves of darkness. "I will not be your prey." But as she declared it, the shadows writhed, shifting into grotesque forms that approached her, closing off escape. Terror blasted through her. With her heart pounding and desperation clawing at her throat, she realized one shattering truth: sometimes choices could lead to horrors unseen. As Lucian opened his mouth to unleash another curse, a loud crack echoed again, rupturing the ground beneath them. And just when Claire thought they had found strength, the fabric of their reality began to tear apart, revealing a horrifying truth just as the chasm gaped wider. "Claire!" Her children screamed, and the abyss opened its maw, ready to devour their very essence. Would they save each other, or would Lucian's shadows finally claim them? What awaited as the ground dipped lower, threatening to swallow their last breaths? The ground beneath Claire's feet cracked wider, revealing the yawning chasm ready to consume them. The air pulsated with an eerie energy, a pulse of malevolence that toyed with their fears, whispering promises of despair. "Oh God, not like this," Claire breathed, her heart heavy as she clutched her children tighter. "Mommy, I can't hold on." Ella screamed, her tiny fingers slipping. Panic surged inside Claire, vibrating through her bones. She would not let them go, not to this darkness. "Just look at me. Stay focused," Claire shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. She had faced countless fears already. She couldn't let Lucian win. She wrapped her fingers around her children's, anchored them to her courage. "Remember our love. It's stronger than this." Only a few feet to the edge, shadows snaked closer, their claws curling around the last remnants of hope. They dissipated in the light of Claire's blazing determination. Lucian roared, shadows recoiling, but they did not recede far enough to relinquish their hold. This was a ritual, a dance of power, and Claire could feel the stakes climbing. "Lucian," she cried, even as his form twisted violently, caught in the cacophony of shadows. "You cannot have us. I refuse to be a pawn in your game any longer." From the depths of the dark, Lucian's laugh echoed, taunting her resolve. "Then face the price of your stubborn desire. It will be quite dear." The chasm rumbled again, pulling at their feet. Claire gathered all the strength she had left, recalling her mother's stories, tales of an ancient mirror, a reflection that could trap spirits and hold darkness at bay. She had to harness that legend, to fight with everything she had, and to turn what seemed unbearable into their weapon. Ella, Max, repeat after me, Claire commanded, her heart racing. We claim our power. We stand by love. Ella and Max echoed the words, their voices trembling but fierce, a united front against looming despair. They leaned into their mother as together they pushed light against darkness. Together, Claire shouted, letting the warmth of the shimmering light in her heart flow outward. Suddenly, the air stilled, and the light surrounding them soared, pushing against the crushing shadows, making space for their words. The swirling mass of darkness shifted uncomfortably, becoming chaotic. Lucian fixed his malevolent gaze on Claire, malice etched into every flicker of his essence. You think you can change the outcome? He hissed. You are meddling in forces you do not understand. If my love can't bring us through, nothing will. Claire roared, her voice cutting through the heavy fog like a lighthouse beacon in the dark. She propelled forward, pulling her children with her toward the mirror that materialized like a shimmer of hope. It's now or never. They reached for it, faces set in resolute expressions, and one final burst of power surged from within. The mirror reflected their deepest bonds, overwhelming darkness with waves of warmth. The whispers froze, struck by the radiant energy that radiated from Claire's family. A blinding light erupted, and they plunged into the reflection. They landed on grass, sunlight pouring over them, as if they had broken the surface of water after drowning. The shadows shrieked in agony, retreating into the cracks of the mirror where they belonged. The scent of fresh earth surrounded them, untainted and pure, a grand testament to their victory over Lucian's wicked grasp. Claire pulled her children to her, their eyes glistening with relief, laughter bubbling from their lips as they embraced. We did it. Ella squealed. Yes, we're safe now, Claire whispered, wrapping her arms protectively around them. The warmth of sunlight swept through her, a balm after the bone-deep chill of shadows. But even as they reveled, Claire sensed the echo of Lucian's dark laugh, thin and distant, lingering in the air like a forgotten nightmare. You might have escaped today, Claire, but you can never fully break the curse, it seemed to whisper, a reminder that shadows never truly disappeared, only waited. But she wouldn't let fear define her family. Together, they would forge a path, building a bond stronger than any curse could shatter. We'll face whatever comes next, together, she promised, clutching her children close. The light was brighter now, hope radiating as they walked away from the shadows. With love as their armor, they stepped forward, ready to reclaim their lives. After all, darkness is pervasive, but it's nothing against the shining force of love. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. We want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Your support means everything.